Welcome to Presidential Fight Club, the show that answers the question, if all 44 presidents fought each other one-on-one, who would win? Hosted by two history professors who have too much time on their hands, Scott Rank and James Early. Hey everyone, welcome to Presidential Fight Club. We're looking at our first fight of round 3, and that is Theodore Roosevelt versus Franklin Pierce. James, let's just get into more Theodore Roosevelt stories, why don't we?
All right, let's do it. I will say before I talk more about Roosevelt that Franklin Pierce, maybe I don't want to steal your thunder, maybe you're going to say this, but he was considered, has been considered to be one of the most handsome presidents we've ever had. In fact, he had the nickname Handsome Frank. And so Roosevelt's smiling and laughing and saying, "Bring that pretty face over here, boy." I'm going to put some hurt on it. So Theodore Roosevelt, we could talk for a long time about his toughness. We talked in the first fight about how he overcame his physical disabilities, his asthma, and his other ailments that he had to become a really tough guy. And he didn't let tragedy get him down. When he was a young man, very, very young, I think he was about 24 or so. He, I don't know the exact age, it doesn't really matter, but he married a beautiful lady. And just a couple years later, when she was giving birth to their first child, she died in childbirth. And on the same day, Theodore Roosevelt's mother died. So can you imagine that tragedy, losing your wife and your mother with whom he was very close? On the very, very same day, if you look at his diary entry, there's just an X. And he says, "Today the light has gone out of my life." And Roosevelt had been in politics. He went into politics. He was a member of the New York State Assembly from a very young age. And he just decided the way he was going to deal with his grief was to quit politics for a while. So he buys a cattle ranch out in Montana. And he actually goes out west himself. And he works on the ranch. And when I say works on the ranch, I don't mean he was the boss and he sent the ranch hands out to do all the work. No, he got out there with the cowboys and with the ranch hands, and he did physical labor himself. You know, he chopped wood and he rounded up cattle. He spent double-digit hours in the saddle, and that has got to be exhausting. I think I've only ridden a horse one time, and I was having a hard enough time just controlling it. I can't imagine being on one for 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day for multiple days a week. I mean, he was tough. He was not afraid to get his hands dirty, even though he was fabulously wealthy. He was not above getting out there and doing some serious hard work. And of course, you talked about his martial arts skills as well. Roosevelt was a boxer, lifelong boxer. Even in the White House, he boxed people. Maybe I'll save a story for later on that. Just in case he wins this match. Let's see. You never know. But, Pierce was tough, but I'm sorry, Teddy is tougher. At least that's my argument. Let's see if you can contradict me there.
Well, I know I'm supposed to explain why or theoretically how Pierce could win, but you know what? I'm just going to tell a short Teddy Roosevelt story before I talk about Pierce. So just to follow up on when he was
more Teddy.
More Teddy, yeah. Well, give people what they want. And when he's out in North Dakota, there's so many stories. He brings these boat thieves to justice. He and two of his hired hands haul them overland for 36 hours to bring them to the sheriff.
That's right. Yeah,
that is, he has to stay awake, so he reads aloud Anna Karenina to these thieves. But my favorite story in North Dakota is he goes to Nolan's Hotel and Saloon, and there's 2 shots fired by a drunken cowboy. He points his weapons at Roosevelt, and he thinks, oh, here's this New Yorker who's just coming out here like on a dude ranch to play cowboy, and he called him Four Eyes for his glasses. He thought that the man would, okay, if I bully him a little bit, he'll buy drinks for the house. So Roosevelt just takes one look at him and laughs. The cowboy's dumbfounded, and when he's confused, Roosevelt, using his boxing skills, punches him in the jaw with the left jab and a right hook. And then when he falls down, the cowboy fires a wild shot that misses Roosevelt. He knocks his head on the counter or on the bar, and he's knocked out cold. So anyway, I guess I'll just have to... Yeah. So, okay, what does Pierce bring to it? Well, James, you mentioned in a previous fight that Pierce... Let's not write him off completely. He was pretty tough in the Mexican-American War. He leads a cavalry charge. He falls down. He injures his knee. He gets up again the next day. This is at the very end of the war. And despite this injury, he's able to lead his men into battle. He falls down again. Even while being injured, he's able to issue commands from the battlefield. So by the time he reaches the post, that it's almost over, but he's still able to do what he can and barking out orders despite being completely immobile. We mentioned also that when he actually gets to the White House in 1852, although he was very ambitious and he had a charismatic personality, he was stone cold in person. And although he was ambitious for the presidency, he wasn't a very good president. He allowed the problems in America right before the Civil War to metastasize. He didn't deal with the problem of slavery. He was, I think...
Yeah, he pretty much just punted on that one.
He punted, Buchanan punted. This is an aside. I don't know how it fits into his fighting ability, but it's an interesting fact. While president, he was charged with running over a woman with his horse, but it was dismissed due to lack of evidence. So if he has a horse in the fight, he doesn't, then that could help him out. And we mentioned earlier that he was a notorious drunk. If, in the case of Teddy will land a lot of blows, maybe that will dull the pain. And in the Jackie Chan spirit of the drunken master, if Franklin can accommodate his fighting style to his inebriated state, this could do something for him. So there I stand. God help me. James.
Yeah, you can do no other, huh?
I can do no other. So,
well, that's nice try. I'm sure Pierce's lubrication pre-fight maybe made Roosevelt's punches not hurt quite so much, but he still is going to hit the floor pretty early. Roosevelt wins this one very, very overwhelmingly. When we had the vote in American History Fanatics, once again, it was almost a shutout. I think Pierce got one or two sympathy votes or maybe from a couple of people that just don't like Roosevelt. But yeah, Roosevelt wipes the floor with him to move on to the finals.
Yeah, and I don't know what else there is to say. He can box, he can fight, he can go for days without sleep if he feels like he's in a righteous cause. So if he thinks this is a righteous cause, then there's no chance. So, well, that takes care of the first fight of the third round of the Presidential Fight Club. Next, we have two 20th century titans of the Democratic Party, JFK versus Franklin Roosevelt. Thanks for listening to Presidential Fight Club. If you'd like to download your own printable bracket sheets for each regional tournament so you can guess how the tournament will go, check out presidentialfightclub.com. We'd appreciate it if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts as well. Thanks for listening, and may you fight with the stamina of Teddy Roosevelt, the courage of George Washington, and the reach of Abraham Lincoln.